What are you working on?
Gotta go to my little niece's birthday party.
Why do you conveniently have family whenever it works in favor of whatever joke?
They want me to bring some dessert to the party.
Oh, well, can you just summon one into existence, or did you lose that ability?
Joe, do you really think I'm gonna take the lazy route? This is my niece we're talking about. I'm gonna go the old-fashioned way and make the dessert by hand.
You do that just for your niece?
Well, also, between you and me, Joe, I'm kind of on shaky terms with my relatives, so I gotta make some kind of grand gesture to make sure I'm still in the will, you know?
Of course. Never change, Professor.
Yeah, so my niece is really into My Little Pony, so I figured, why not make some My Little Pony themed cupcakes, eh?
That sounds like a great idea.
Alright, let me just look up some recipes online. My Little Pony cupcakes.
Is something wrong?
Bronies were something else, weren't they? Cupcakes was the name of a fanfic, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm hesitant to use the word creepypasta, because I don't know if this really gets to count as one. I mean, if I wrote a scary Star Wars fanfic, would that suddenly be considered a creepypasta? The only reason I think it made its way into the realm of that is because of how crazy the internet was going for MLP during its heyday. You had popular YouTubers talking about or narrating it, and I wouldn't be surprised if many mods of creepypasta forums like the wiki or creepypasta.com were also bronies, so they just let it slide.
Because there's so much to do, each and every incision, every beautiful line. Now I'm done with the knife, let's give this hacksaw a try. Why do they call it that, huh? It doesn't hack, its name is dumb. Oh well, let's play while you're still alive.
I'd call that cover a bastardization, but Gabe Newell allegedly was a brony, so I guess he'd probably approve. Anyways, what is Cupcakes? Well, it was a fanfic written by a guy named Sergeant Sprinkles. What? You think putting a professional title in front of your name suddenly makes you more special? What are you looking at? The fanfic is about the character Rainbow Dash, who goes to visit her friend Pinkie Pie, and the plan is to make cupcakes. But the catch is, Rainbow Dash is the ingredient. Basically, the story turns into a torture story where they graphically describe every single way Pinkie tortures, mutilates, and maims Rainbow, and that's about it. There is basically no story after Rainbow Dash gets knocked out and tied up.
Or maybe knocked up and tied out.
That doesn't even make any sense. It's just graphic violence. And maybe I could understand the fear if this was like real people, but these are cartoon ponies. Like when people watch a horror movie or they read a horror book, they feel fear because they imagine themselves in the situation. Now I guess you could do the same here because the ponies do act like humans, but like they're ponies. Anyways, is this story actually good and scary? Well, maybe. It obviously disturbed a lot of kids and even some adult fans back in the day, but if we're being honest, this story is just kind of underwhelming. There are a few good things though. The part where the narrator describes a banner made out of pony hides with the words, "Life is a party," is actually pretty ominous. It's the most subtle thing in this damn story in the sense that it doesn't literally say, "I love murder" or whatever. I think it's kind of creepy, and so I think it probably just accidentally came up during the writing process. I think Pinkie picking up a character's skull like Yoda and doing a mocking puppet show is far more funny than creepy. I mean, I will say the implication that Yoda stayed tough and constantly mocked Pinkie the whole time she was being torn apart to the point where Pinkie had to cut out her tongue to shut her up is fucking badass as hell. That's some queen shit. The same issue with things being more funny than scary happens when she makes a bunch of puns related to body parts. I know I could be a real pancreas, but you know I'm just kidney with you. You really gotta learn to liver it up. Boy, these jokes are getting bladder. Guess you gotta develop a stomach for them. It probably could have been done better if it had better writing. I think a good example would be in the movie Reservoir Dogs, where Mr. Blonde cuts off the cop's ear and talks to it while laughing.
Hey, what's going on? You hear that?
For sick fucks like me, you may get a chuckle, but I also think it could be disturbing to other viewers. I know it's not exactly the same thing, but the point is, it was memorable enough for me to think about it when talking about Cupcakes. Now maybe this was supposed to be like a dark comedy instead of outright horror, but I never hear it described that way. Another scene I could say I like is the part where Rainbow passes out and Pinky gets frustrated and outright drops the whole bubbly, silly persona for a second and actually gets flat out mad and starts calling her a baby, like she actually loses her cool legitimately.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dash. You're so boring. I think I'll take a nap. You think I like always doing this by myself? I was so excited to finally have a friend to be here with me while I worked. But no, you gotta be so inconsiderate. I thought you were tough, Rainbow Dash. I thought you could handle it. Do I have to baby you, huh? Is that how you want me to remember you? As a baby?
I think that alone is far scarier than any of the gratuitous torture and violence in the story. Being able to see her drop the act and see the true evil and wickedness behind that persona for a brief moment is genuinely a terrifying thing to think about. The Japanese say you have 3 faces. The first face you show to the world, the second face you show to your close friends and your family, and the third face you never show anyone. The idea of a person who's this complete and utter monster showing you their third face, especially seeing how Rainbow knew this person for years and is finally seeing who she really was deep inside the whole time, is an interesting concept. To our knowledge, no one has ever fully seen this side of Pinky and lived to tell the tale. It reminds me a lot of the scene from The Dark Knight when the Joker's torturing the one guy, and then for a second he drops the whole Joker act and screams, "Look at me!"
So you think Batman's made Gotham a better place? Look at me.
Look at me!
Again, I honestly question if this was another accident because I might have put more thought into this analysis than Sergeant Sprinkles put into the writing. Also, I'm sorry that I just compared not one, but 2 of some of the greatest movies ever made to an MLP fanfic from fucking 2011. Most of this fanfic sadly doesn't try to be creative or psychological like that. It's surface deep for the most part. It honestly feels like someone read the biography of Jeffrey Dahmer and then just decided to turn that into ponies. I mean, cannibalism, keeping body parts around, all this really needed was to have Pinky engage in some good old-fashioned American necrophilia. There's a lot of precise means of torture enacted in this fanfic, and it honestly makes me wonder if Sergeant Sprinkles forgot the fact that ponies don't have fingers or hands. How is Pinky able to use all these tools? The animations just kind of give her like hoof hands that she just kind of folds over to pick things up. I suppose she could also have used her teeth to pick up the tools, but she talks while torturing Rainbow, so I doubt that's the case. When Rainbow Dash finally dies, which takes an agonizingly long time, God, this story is just way too long. The story uses, and I'm not even fucking around, it uses these exact words. But still, she was sad that her friend was now gone. Dash had only lasted 50 minutes, not nearly as long as Pinky had wanted. She looked back at the thing hanging in the center of the room. The last of her friend's fluids draining into a pan. Yup, no more Rainbow Dash. Yup, no more Rainbow Dash. Did fucking Big Macintosh write this? Seriously, what the hell kind of conclusion is that? Imagine if when Cormac McCarthy wrote Blood Meridian and he went into details of the horrible way Bathcat was mutilated, he just goes, "Yup, no more Bathcat." This is stupid. Apparently Rainbow also pisses a few times as well, which, considering this fanbase's track record, actually now that I think about it, maybe this whole story is just some fetish clapping shit. Dash awoke with a gasp. The stench of her urine filled her mucus-caked nostrils.
That's disgusting.
The story also has basically no ending. I can understand, especially in the horror genre, leaving things up in the air at the ending, but all that happens is that Pinky basically decides to taxidermy Rainbow's corpse so she can keep her around forever. Yeah, never seen anything like that before, buddy. And then it just ends. We don't even actually get to see her finish the fucking cupcakes which this whole damn fanfic was named after. There's also a whole bunch of plot holes. For example, how the hell is Pinky able to get away with all these killings without anyone knowing? I know they try to bring this up and all they really say is no one will find out, but how? This is Ponyville, not fucking Detroit. I don't think people going missing is a particularly common occurrence. You really think no one is ever going to ask, where's Rainbow Dash? You don't think that there's the possibility that someone may have last seen her with Pinky? Pinky's house is not in the middle of nowhere. There could have been witnesses. Furthermore, don't some of these ponies have magic they can use? I guess Pinky could saw off their horns, but can they really not do any kind of magic without their horns? I haven't seen basically any of this show outside of a few episodes, so I have no idea. Also, Pinky is using adrenaline to keep her victims from passing out so they can feel as much pain as possible. Where the hell is Pinky getting adrenaline from? Is there some pony drug black market? Is she stealing them from hospitals? Like, what? Also, apparently in the show there are these two other ponies that work at the same place. Are they in on it? How the hell did they never figure out that Pinky's using the bakery as a serial killer room? The biggest problem with Cupcakes is that it essentially turned into an internet pissing game. After Cupcakes, so many dark and violent fanfics came out with essentially the same concept as Cupcakes, but just to see who can make the most graphic one. Sweet Apple Massacre is a good example of this. And that story has pedo shit on top of the graphic violence. There thankfully are a few good things that came out of this fanfic. Rocket to Insanity is a fanfic that basically takes place in an alternate universe where Cupcakes is merely a dream that Rainbow Dash has, but it drives her to madness. I honestly think this story greatly improves over Cupcakes. It has gore, but the psychological aspects of it are pretty interesting. There are apparently a whole bunch of sequels as well, but I only ever read the first part. Also, there are a lot of fan animations. I already showed the one from Pink Mania because that one closely follows the narrative, but there's also Cupcakes HD, which was made by someone who may or may not have actually been an actual animator for Hasbro. I like this animation, it's funny. It also got copyright claimed by Hasbro, so I guess that means it's canon too. Now, I've heard claims that this wasn't actually inspired by the fanfic, but that just seems hard to believe seeing just how similar this is to the fanfic in many ways. Could we have actually got something from Cupcakes that wasn't just pointless shock value though? Maybe. I have already made videos about both Shed 17 and Project G1 from Paul's vids, and those are two horror fan videos of Thomas and Friends, another kids show. These videos are extremely gory and cruel, probably even more than Cupcakes to be honest, but they are way better. Why? Because they actually did something other than just have shock value. They have genuinely creepy and disturbing moments, a compelling story, and overall a very unique and memorable experience. I feel like anyone could have written Cupcakes, and this is proven by the many knockoffs there are. However, Shed 17 is a genuinely great project, and it didn't need to sacrifice excessive gore or anything to achieve it. It just goes to show that when you see comments of people who saw Cupcakes as a kid and come back, they have a different opinion, while people who come back to Shed 17 just see it as a quality short film. Even if you personally don't like Shed 17, you just can't argue that it doesn't have far more thought put into it than Cupcakes. That being said, our journey into the MLP fandom has only just begun, as there are still plenty of horrifying content left to look at. But seriously, I gotta make some goddamn Cupcakes now. And don't worry, there won't be any horse intestines in them. Well, hopefully.
All you have to do is take a cup of flour, add it to the mix. Now just take a little something mixed, not sour, and beat up all just a pinch. Making these treats hot and cinch and teaspoon of belong it. Add a little butter, you come to butter, and you never get your chili!